All right, we're gonna begin. If you don't know who Liz is, you will know because I'm not gonna introduce her. Liz, I'm gonna let you do that because you're awesome. I'm gonna let you do it yourself. I don't like introducing people because I do not do it justice. I think you're amazing. You've been a huge help to me. I consider you a friend. I am so thankful for you to be here. Like I honestly say that. Thank you for being here with us today. So I will let you take over. This is your room. You can present, ask questions, or have people ask questions. However you want to do this today. This is the spotlight's on you. It's your stage. So go for it.
Okay. All right. But you might need to be like the bumper guards on bowling and make sure I don't go way off because I can do that. It's my talent.
Deal.
So I'm Liz Johnson. I have been in real estate since 2004, 2006 full time. Before that, I was a deputy sheriff with the King County Sheriff's Office, and before that, I was in the Army. So I'm a combat vet and former deputy, and now I sell real estate. And in November, it'll be my 20th anniversary. What else? Let's see. I've ran a team since about 2015, and not last year because it was last year, but other than last year, we've averaged about 100 home sales a year for the last 6 or 7 years. And yeah, but last year we still did great if we're grading on a curve. I think we're all grading on a curve for last year, right? Still hit the million GCI mark, so that was good. But yeah, I'm with KW, and I'm also a Place partner. If anybody here is with Place or knows about Place, and yeah. Oh, and then my business. I started in real estate working by referral, working my sphere. Then my life turned into a country music song, and drama happened and everything fell apart. So then I shifted to more cold calling and prospecting because nobody knew my life was a you know what show. And then when my life got back together, I went back to working my sphere. And that's when I came up with this. Well, I didn't totally come up with this. A friend of mine had asked me about how I was running this other leg of my business, and I gave him my formula. And then he shared his formula with working his sphere, but it sounded so complicated. I was just like, oh, that's fantastic. Oh, that's great. And I wasn't listening. And then the next day, my coach, we had our coaching call, and he's like, you are sucking at your sphere because you have this many people, and per the model, you should be getting this many pieces of business out of them, and blah, blah, blah. So that's how this started. And what now? Where do you want me to start, Eli?
I think a lot of us have a sphere or database or however you want to call it, and that for me personally, it's my biggest fear. I am so much more comfortable calling brand new leads that if I mess up, they don't know me, so I don't care. Like, okay, bye, block you, you're done. Versus calling past clients. Like I just had a past client call me on Friday. I haven't talked to them in 4 years since they bought the house, and they're gonna list with me. And I'm like, then I'm seeing other people who are like, oh, they sold their house 3 years afterwards, and I didn't get to help them. And so it's I don't know why after 10 years in this business, and I've done really well. I mean, I've had a successful business for years, but there's this fear of picking up the phone and talking to my sphere. And then now that I've left, maybe you can talk about this a little bit. Now that I'm not in Texas and my database is Texas, I feel like I don't have the right to follow up with these people because I'm not there anymore. So how do we approach that? What is the secret sauce, or not the secret sauce, but what is the work behind keeping your sphere happy, keeping them engaged, and being their number one source?
Okay, so yes, to all that. So on the I get what you're saying about like you've moved away and now you feel weird about it, because I had that with a farm I had that's right there, but I didn't live. I love Lake Taps, and I used to live on the lake and do everything around there. And then I moved off the lake and I felt disingenuous. And I mistakenly sold that business to a competitor that let it just fall apart. I would totally do things differently now on that. Now back to the sphere thing. I'm going to get a little deep, but I kind of touched on it when I was talking about my story. Is and a coach told me this a long time ago, and I was like, oh yeah, that's so true, is the people that are more comfortable cold calling versus working with people they know are having some sort of like a confidence issue. Like, because and this is when I am going to work with friends or family, and they use that objection that I'm sure we've all heard. Well, I don't want to mix business and friendship or business and family. And I go, but here's the thing, Eli, I can't afford to screw this up. I have to do an amazing job for you because you and I have so many mutual friends. You're going to tell everybody and ruin me. So you should hire me because everything's on the line right now. If you hire a stranger and they screw up, they don't care. They got their paycheck. But my business is built on referrals and repeat business. So I have to pull out all the stops to make sure I kick ass for you. Oh, are we allowed to cuss on this? Is this like, how do we do this? Because I curse like a sailor.
Oh,
So,
go for it, please.
okay.
Absolutely. So the number one rule here is authenticity. Be yourself.
Okay. Fuck yeah. All right, cool.
There you go.
Got it out. I was like waiting. Anyway. So when I was mentioning the how my coach said I was sucking at my database and not getting the amount of, with this many people in my database, I should have this many closings per year just from them, never having to cold call or pick up the phone. And he said, I go, well, I'm doing, a monthly email. I'm doing a monthly mailer, like snail mail. I'm doing a football schedule, a Christmas card, whatever. And he goes, well, what about the phone calls? And I'm like, what about the what? It's like the quarterly phone calls to your database. I'm like, oh yeah, no, I don't know what to say. And what I had found, and I still struggle. So don't let me sit up here acting like I call my database. I call 20 people in my database every day. That's not true. I still struggle. It's an ongoing issue. However, I found it easy to call like the buyer I closed a few months ago to see how the house is. Like, did the builder ever come back and put the fence in the right way? Or what did you end up deciding to do with the kitchen? Are you going to leave it, or did my contractor call? Those are easy calls. The calls I was struggling with was the seller whose investment property I sold 3 years ago. Like, what do I say? Like, hi, I need money. Like, it just felt weird. And so my friend's thing was this perks program, like we have with our airline miles or car rentals or grocery store. Like, the more you spend, the more you get, or the more you use us, the more benefits you get. And I took his system. His was super complicated, and he is not a frugal, budget conscious person. So when he first told me, I was like, ooh, I'm not doing that. But then I listened to him again after my coach tore me a new one. I said, okay, I'm going to take you to lunch. I'm going to take notes, and I got to figure out how to like water this down to fit my budget and my lifestyle. So basically, what it entailed was me sending out an apology letter, and I have a version of it in here because I'd already been in the business 10 years. So I had to come from a place of, I'm so sorry, I have not been attentive enough to you guys and rewarding you for all the support and referrals that you've given me over the years. Now, this system works if you're brand new. You can just be like, hey, I'm going to do real estate different. I'm going to make sure to show gratitude to you guys from day one. Or if you joined a team and you'd say, I joined this team and they have this amazing perks program and I'd love for you to be a part of it, blah, blah, blah. But what it entails is a monthly giveaway or event. And then there's a way to gamify it and level up. But the basic thing is the MVP. I call mine my MVP program. And in the book, I go into how you should brand it for not you, but for your clientele. So I talk about in the book, like, I'm not a sports ball girl. Like, I watch the halftime show at the Super Bowl and maybe the last 10 minutes of the game. But my clientele are very sports oriented. They're very, and I call them in the book, blue collar with money. So if I had like a caviar tasting event, they'd be like, what is she doing? What? I don't, ew, no. But if you're like a luxury agent and those are your people, that's something you might want to do. But anyhow, my folks are mostly move up buyers or starting to empty nest, and they've got money, but they don't necessarily drive a Jaguar. They probably drive an F-350 that costs more than the Jaguar, and then have all the boats and razors and all the side-by-side things. Anyhow, I digress. But I went with more of a sports theme. So my levels are MVP, All-Star, and Winner's Circle. And like in the book, I mention if you're luxury, it might be like emerald, diamond, and sapphire, something like that. Just make sure that you're not thinking about you, but you're thinking about your clientele when you put this together, if you're going to do this. And same with the giveaways. And so like right now, well, yesterday, and today we're doing our roses giveaway. And how we do it and how we stay in budget, this is important, is we don't have, it's not unlimited. The only thing we do unlimited is the pie giveaway in November. If you want a pie, we'll buy that many pies. But all the other things are like the first 10 people to answer up, the first 15 people to answer up, the first 20, whatever it is, or however many we have. Sometimes it's the first 14 people to answer up, get it. So they get a monthly email with this thing, and some will answer up for it and some won't. And the key to it, because I have a Facebook group where people have complained over time about like, it's the same 10 people answering up. And I go, then you keep buying the same stuff. Like some of the giveaways that I've given away, I don't like it. I'm like, who would want this? This is dumb. People answer up. Other things like, I'm like, oh, I love this. Some people don't love it. So you have to make sure you're trying to address the young folks, the old folks, the females, the males, the single people, the married people, the people with kids, the people without kids. Vary it up. So I'll say that. But back to starting off this thing, what I did was I went through my entire database and I picked out who I thought should be my MVPs. And those were people that had closed business with me, referred business to me, or tried to do business with me. And the tried part is like they listed their house with me because they were supposed to get a job in Texas. And we had the listing, and then they had to cancel it because that job offer got pulled. So now there's no reason for them to sell their house and move. But they had raised their hand and showed me that if they were to buy or sell real estate, I'm their person. So it's, if anybody remembers, well, he's still, it's not like he passed, Brian Buffini, he had, or still has, what I think he called the mayor campaign, which was like, if you or someone you knew were to buy or invest or sell in real estate, am I the realtor you would choose? And so it's just a version of that. And from there, and this is called the launch period. So if you take no other notes, this is what you need to take notes on. If you do not do a proper launch, then this is not going to work, because I've seen that over and over again. Well, I did what you said and it didn't work. I'm getting the weirdest texts and emails from people. They're like, what is this? And blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, tell me about your launch. And they're like, my what? Kind of like when my coach was like, tell me about the phone calls. I'm like, the phone calls. But the launch is super important, because you can't just out of the blue email your database saying, hey, I have these portable phone chargers to give away, or I've got roses to give away, or whatever you're giving away. You can't just do that, because then like, what, huh? What? You want to build it up like any sort of event or campaign. So I did an email, and whatever was written in the email is the same thing that went out in a snail mail letter. And then after that was the first week, those two went out at the same time. Because, and even if I had both their email and address, I still sent them both, because people like me don't open their mail until the post office sends you that nasty gram that your mailbox is full. And I also don't really read emails, so, but our emails go to spam sometimes, or they change jobs so they don't have that email address anymore, et cetera, you know. And then after about a week to 10 days, I blocked out 4 days because I had initially had 174 people or 171, something like that. But I blocked out 4 straight days of nothing but calling that list. And I had a little script by my phone, but you know, on a little notepad to go over that, and called every single person. Some people were like, actually, you're not the realtor I would choose because now my daughter's an agent. So, and I'm like, oh, okay. And to that, I always say, because you know, we have 87% turnover. I said, that is fantastic. If anything ever changes with that, I would love to be your number 2 choice. And that they always come back. Some didn't answer and never returned my call. I still added them because with the way this is put together, they will self-select out because of the law of reciprocity. Ooh, that was a big one. When you're giving stuff away, most normal, decent humans will not answer up to claim a gift or a giveaway unless they intend to reward you back at some point. There are some people that are just a-holes and, you know, then don't put them in your group. But I called everybody and said, you know, did you get a letter from me or an email? And, oh yeah, I read it, but what does it cost to join? Or what do I need to do? And I'm like, it costs nothing to join. It's just my way of thanking you. I've done a crap job over the years of thanking you for your referrals and your continued support of my business. So I'd like to just make it, you know, an intention of mine to every month look for something, an event or something, an item of value that you or your family might enjoy. Just my way of, you know, staying in touch, staying top of mind, and showing my gratitude. One of the questions real quick that people have asked, because that letter that went out, I write for all your referrals and stuff. And they said, did you send that to people that never gave you a referral? And I said, hell yeah, I did. Because I want them to know other people are doing that and that they have basically failed me. They're not doing their part. In a very
You're setting that expectation that now
yeah.
you know I'm expecting your referrals. I love that.
Yep. Yep. So I feel like I should pause now. Are there any questions so far? I'm kind of all over the place, but I want to have it more of a conversation. I feel like I'm just talking the whole time.
I do have a question. I don't know if you want to go deep into this or just kind of a small sentence about it, but so how do you have 3 levels? How exactly do you select those people for those 3 groups?
Okay, so MVP is those people I mentioned. They've done business with me, tried to do business with me, referred business to me, or I even added people like on social media that are always like sharing my posts, like house posts, or like giving me a shout out if somebody's like, I'm looking for a realtor in Bonnie Lake. Like they're showing me they're a fan, you know? Then when I wrote the book, so it's not much in here about it because it was just happening, is the 80-20 principle happened here like it happens everywhere. We're all familiar with the 80-20 principle? Yes? No? Maybe? 20% of the people will, in this case, 20% of my database give me 80% of the referrals. So it was that cream rising to the top. Those people are called winner's circle. So like with our roses giveaway right now, if they're in winner's circle, they also get a box of truffles. And I make sure that everybody, all the MVPs know that the winner's circle on this giveaway or this event are getting something special. So like next month, we're doing a wine tasting at Total Wine. Do you guys have Total Wine there or wherever you're at? I don't know. They have a tasting room and it's really cheap because they're doing it because they want you to buy their wines. So I won it at an auction. Well, I guess I didn't win it, I paid for it, but you know what I mean. But for Winner's Circle, they get the invite I think we're gonna do 2 hours. The Winner Circle people will receive their email 2 hours before everyone else, so they get first dibs at answering up, because it's a room and there's only 20 seats for this wine tasting. And so part of that too, a lot of this has psychology intertwined in it. A lot of it is that FOMO thing, is that I don't want to not be included. Um, so it creates that urgency. It's not like, oh, we're having this thing and everybody's invited, or I have unlimited roses, because my budget doesn't account for that. And oh, so that's Winner Circle. And then All Star is when somebody, whether they're MVP or not, like just some random stranger, gives me a referral, they're in all-star status, which also acts as Winner Circle for a minute, like they'll get the early invite, but and when I wrote the book, this is how it was, and they just changed it about a year ago, but they would get a $10 Starbucks card that would get loaded every month with $10 for 6 months. And the reason why we weren't just giving them a $60 Starbucks card or $70 was so we could send them an email every month saying, hey, your card's been loaded. Don't forget to use it or you lose it. And then like 60 days out, we'd say, hey, your card's been reloaded, but don't forget it's going to expire in 60 days. So you might want to look for another referral for us. 30 days out, same thing. And then the day it expired, we would say, sorry to see you leave All Stars, but you're still one of our MVPs and you'll be back in All Stars with your next referral or piece of business. Starbucks won't let us do that anymore, do the loading. So we just give them a $60 Starbucks card now. And we do remind them, because we do, if it's unused, whatever unused balance is, we transfer it back to our card. And I haven't paid for a Starbucks drink in 10 years because I always have like so many rewards. I'm like, I think I have a free one. She's like, honey, you have 6 free drinks. And I'm like, oh, okay. That's probably why they won't let us do what we're doing. But anyhow, that is part of that rewards thing. And I've had people say, I don't like Starbucks. I'm like, okay, well, they have sandwiches, like whatever. And then other people in other parts of the country, because I'm in the Pacific Northwest where there's a Starbucks literally every corner. Like I have one right there, and I have 2 more I could walk to from here. But I know like in the Midwest, they were using, what's that? Is it not Buc-ee's? What's the one like you guys stop and go, or I don't know.
UT.
Yes. And then other people have done Amazon cards. So it, again, tailor it to your people and your area, obviously. So those are the levels. And then we do audit. I have it on my calendar every 6 months to see who needs to be kicked out of MVP. Like I'll see on Facebook that they listed their house with someone else. Depending on the person, I'll ask like, what happened? Or I'll get a return like Christmas card. They don't live here anymore. And I'm like, what? And I'll look it up. And a couple haven't been like they don't like me anymore. It's that they did an off-market sale, like somebody door knocked and said, I have a buyer and I'll, whatever. But some of them just aren't my people anymore. Same with Winner Circle. And the threshold I use for that is at least 2 pieces of business, not just one. And then but if it was just 2, like if I help them buy and sell and they've never stayed in touch, they've never returned my phone calls, they've never answered up for a giveaway or come to one of our events, then I kick them out of Winner Circle too.
Do you tell people they've been kicked out when you kick them out?
It depends. Usually, yeah. What I've had to do recently, in the last few years is cut down the MVP recipients, because sometimes it is people just answering up and they never do anything. So if I'm seeing that pattern, I'll say, well, it's a blanket email that goes out that says, hey, because of all the referrals and stuff we've received, we are now having to say that unless you've done business with us or referred business to us in the last 5 years, you're not in our MVP program anymore. But you're welcome back with your next referral or piece of business. because yeah, they've been not referring us. But then like I was talking about this guy the other day, I have this one client for the last 16 years, 15, 16. He's never once given me a referral, but this man will not do any real estate without me. And he'll buy a piece of land, build a house, sell it, buy a piece of land, build a house, sell it, or buy a piece of crap house, fix it up, sell it. So he's in winner's circle, but he's, you know what I mean? It's, yeah, I'm his person.
And these people, I know you kind of touched on this, but specifically, how often is everybody contacted? Like, is this a monthly thing via email? Is this a quarterly call? Like, what's the system behind a full year contacting your database? Are you guys using DTD2? Like, what is it?
So we've got a couple things going. So we have this whole MVP program that goes every month, there's a giveaway, rain or shine. And that's the thing I say in the book, like, if you don't have an admin, you need to plan on getting one. Because there's no way you can do this and not drop the ball without someone helping, because you're making this promise, like, and I mistakenly picked the first of every month, forgetting that New Year's Day is the first of every month. And sometimes the first is on a Sunday, but we can schedule emails to go out ahead of time. But I said on the first of every month, you're going to get this. And I have to tell you, I've gotten so much business, not just because of the giveaways, but because they see my consistency, and it gives this illusion that I'm super organized. I should turn the camera around so you can see my desk and see I'm not super organized. But that is something I'm not willing to fail on. Even through COVID, we were able to do this. Because the goal of my giveaways is to get face to face with the client. So I don't do many gift certificates or things that could be put in the mail. It's always, you have to come see me at my office, or we have to go meet for coffee. Or if it's like somebody I sold a house to, I will then deliver because they want me to come see the house, kind of thing. Or if they just had a baby, or, but I normally don't offer to deliver, because that could get super time consuming, especially if you're doing 100 deals a year. And people are all over the place. But I feel like I lost my train of thought.
The consistency of how often you touch
Oh,
base and how do you
yeah,
keep in contact with them?
yes, thank you. See, I told you were gonna have to like bumper me back in. So we have that, and then we also just have a regular like 36 touch. We don't necessarily D2D, whatever that is. I know what it is, but I can't remember how to say it. We have Brivity, and so we do like the Brivity top 10, where it's like, hey, call these people today. Hey, these people have opened up their market report and viewed it, but you've never contacted them. So we'll do that stuff. The beauty behind this program, though, is it makes calls a lot easier. Like when I was saying, the investor who's like, or a seller whose investment property I sold years ago, if I know it's something they're going to like, let's say he's a big beer drinker, big kind of, or beer connoisseur. And I know our giveaway coming up is for beer growlers with a gift certificate to get it filled at this brewery. It's an easy call to make, to be like, hey, Tom, I know you never answer up for these giveaways, but this one coming up, you might want to mark your calendar, check your email. I think you're going to like it. I usually try not to tell them what it is. Sometimes I will, like, hey, the golf thing's coming up again, so don't forget. And when I first started this, I was on a really tight budget. I was pretty flat broke, to be honest with you. And I just had $300 a month for it. I was spending $300 a month on Vulcan 7 for the expired data and dialer, and I just flipped it over to this. So I had a budget of 150 a month for giveaways. So I either had to get 10 giveaways that were $15 or less, or I could get 15 giveaways that were $10 or less. And the goal is to find something that is worthy of somebody taking their lunch break to come see you and get it, or whatever. So you're always going to look for a deal or something unique. Like one time years ago, my ex, I was married to him at the time. Now my ex got me this rainbow unicorn mug and I put it on Facebook, like, look at what I got for Mother's Day. And everyone's like, oh my God, I need that. Where'd you get it? And I said, where'd you get that? He goes, Amazon, was $9. And I said, I made that one of our giveaways and it was huge. I got 15 of them and everybody loved it and like posted them on Facebook and all that kind of stuff. And same with like one time we found these beach totes at Marshall's that were really cool. I can't believe they were that cheap. They were like $11. And we bought a whole bunch and people were posting those all over Facebook, like, oh my God, look at this. So amazing. I fit all this stuff and we're going to the beach. And anyway, and then the other 150 was for the Starbucks part. And I realized like once my Starbucks rewards got over 15 cards to load a month, that was a high quality problem and I could probably up the budget. So after that, then I started incorporating more events, and the events I'll spend more money on because I'm actually getting time with them, like more than just coming to my office to pick it up real quick or, a quick coffee. I'm spending quality time doing something like the wine tasting. And then we have like in October, we do the family photo shoot. I don't know if any of you have seen me do those photos, but we have beautiful fall colors up here, beautiful location. I have a coffee bar open at the espresso stand, or a tab open at the espresso place there. And the families come and get their photos and they have nice professional photos for their Christmas cards, or they'll get them framed for grandma and so forth. So those are the things I'll spend a little more money on.
That's really cool. Yeah, we did a few years of pictures with Santa, and
Mhm.
that is a hit. I mean, we do it in November, obviously before Christmas, before anybody had plans for theirs. We start announcing it in like October. Next month, we're having pictures with Santa. We had a really good Santa with a real beard. People love those events, and you're spending 2 or 3 hours with them, and
Yeah.
you're touching 40, 50 people or families at the same exact time without having to go visit 50 houses or go to Starbucks 50 times. I think events are awesome. I think events
Well,
are
and you're
really cool.
creating a happy memory, like
Yep.
a positive, like, oh, remember that time, blah, blah, blah. Even sometimes if it's just a giveaway, like one of our popular ones were these little wine glasses that were etched, and in quotes it'd be like, trust me, you can dance, wine, like wine wrote that. Or trust me, text your ex. And people like still have them. They think they're hilarious. They're great and like their guests will say, oh my God, where'd you get these glasses? They're hilarious. Oh, my realtor gave them to us. So just little things like will stick with people.
And you're building a culture. You're building a culture because I remember when we did it 3 or 4 years of picture with Santa, you would see on people's timeline on my memories in Facebook, it's like every year for 3 years in a row or 4 years in a row, every single November I would get pictures and I would remind people, hey, remember the pictures last year? Can't wait to see you this year. We're having it again, yada yada yada. So
Mhm.
you start building a culture. I think events are awesome. All this is really good stuff. I mean, it's all about building the system. And
Well,
I
and
agree
it's
with you.
building
You
the
gotta have admin.
relationships.
Yeah.
Re- Yeah, because like even the family photo shoot, I remember I got a little verklempt, a little teary-eyed, because some of these people, I remember them coming with like a little baby toddler and a pregnant belly, and now the kids are like 6 and 8 years old. Or like one, they've brought their golden retriever every single photo shoot, and the last one, she passed right after the photo shoot, but she was she was a very red golden. And her entire face was white and she could barely walk. And I grew up with this dog. I felt like she was kind of like my dog too. I was like, Lana. Her name was Lana. Um, and now next year, or this year, I guess this October, she won't be in the photo shoot. It's just kind of weird, but but that's what we're doing. We are in people's lives as real estate agents, realtors, in their most important decisions, and helping them pick their home, like where they're going to raise their families and stuff. So it's important that we're, you know,
Yeah, I think this
building that
helps change.
relationship.
It helps change the idea of what we do from a transaction broker to a relationship broker, right?
Mhm.
That's really important for us. It's important because it is. You don't just sell them a house. I mean, we have clients right now who are about to list their property, which Jesse was here a minute ago. He referred them to us a year and a half ago, and they bought their house, and we built a relationship with them to the level where they're unfortunately selling right now in a upside down, right? They're going to be negative when they sell. And we're still like, bright in their eyes. Like we did nothing wrong, right? They knew the market they bought in. They bought in the COVID market, which is not a great time. And it's that relationship you build that keeps that. It takes the tension away from any other person would have bought would have sold with any other realtor and be kind of mad that they're losing money. But we built that relationship. I guess my point is it's so important to build the relationship. I wish people would really focus on how important this is, not for business, but for relationship. The business comes with it. It's a byproduct of the relationship you're building with people. So I love this.
Well, and I received recently a very strange compliment of sorts from a competitor that we used to hate each other and now we're cool. But we were texting and he wrote, he goes, yeah, I've always found it amazing how you have a true army of people that will fight your battles for you, fight to the death for you. And I said, well, I love hard on my people, and I think they know that, and they love hard on me back. So they'll come to my defense. Eli, I'm sure you've seen it on my Facebook post too. Like people will flat out, and then they'll text me on the side, like, what's his address? I'm like, girls, stop. Like, no, we're not going to jail. I don't have time. It's fine. And but yeah, when you love hard on your people, they will have your back.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I have seen your fans come after me too. No, I'm just kidding. Not after me, never. I love on you too. So there's
I know. We're like brother and sister.
I would, yeah, older brother, older sister kind of relationship where one of us is always, fighting. But yeah, I believe it. Now,
Yeah.
I love you and I respect you a ton. Any questions, comments for Liz? I have another question, but before I ask it, Linda.
Can you kind of explain about the giveaways and how you do those versus an event?
Yeah, so we'll curate so we usually have a list of things that, because over this many years, we know what's been a flop and what's been a hit. But we'll have a few ideas for January. February is always the roses. Like I think if we decided to switch that up and not do roses, we would have some angry folks at this point. They are depending on us. March, but like one of our things that I thought would be a flop, and it's a huge hit and it cracks me up every year. One of our things came in, it was the beer growlers. They were misprinted. They had our like stuff on it. Oh, on that note, real quick, I would say of the giveaways, maybe only 2 out of 12 will have stuff that's branded of ours. Or it might be something like a whole kit, like we do a back to school survival kit in September, because we go back to school in September here, where it's like alcohol for the parents and coffee and then some school supplies, but we'll put our branded mugs in, or like if it's a wine thing, we have branded wine glasses, or, but most of the time it's not branded because nobody cares, you know what I mean? But we will, the funny giveaway, our thing didn't come in and we were like, crap, the first is in 2 days. And we're like, so we made these gardening starter kits and basically got everything at the dollar store, like seed packets, little rake thingy, hand rake, spade, some gloves, knee pad, and a cheap little basket, and everybody loses their minds. They all want one. We had to go buy more. But they were $8 a piece. I'm like, we can go buy more. We're fine.
Do you do it on a Facebook?
Oh, no. So I do it via email because I want them in the habit of opening, and I talk about that in the book. I want them in the habit of opening up my emails and not unsubscribing. So I've had people like, hey, I didn't get your giveaway email. And I'll look, I'm like, you unsubscribed. And like, oh, I did. I'm like, yeah, I'm like resubscribe. And the Facebook group, I'm so glad I didn't go that route, because at that time, Facebook groups were getting really big. And I was starting to mute, or is it mute? I was starting to not leave the group, but turn off notifications. Is that a thing?
You unfollow or turn off notifications, yeah.
Yeah, it's just too much all day long. Thank God there was no at everyone back then. But I didn't want the I didn't want to dilute our group with that, or if that makes sense. I didn't want it to be too noisy. I want it to be more purposeful. Now it's pretty much dead. I've dropped the ball on that, I'll be honest. But we basically do everything through email. And then because emails got so crazy with going to spam and stuff, on certain ones, we also send out a text like through, I don't know how it's done. I have admin, but like, you know, how you can text everybody at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel personally attacked because my whole business is Facebook group. So whatever.
It's
Um,
okay.
I've actually thought about building, when I read Perk Your Sphere a couple years ago, I was like, I should build a Facebook group and just do it through Facebook because that's what I know. And
Yeah.
I haven't done it. I think the email version is better. I just feel like the email, you might say you're not organized, but the email version is, it does take organization. It does
Oh,
take.
yeah. Yeah, well, and also just like with that giveaway, Linda, whatever we're doing, like whenever I get a new admin that like the in-office admin, I tell them like, you can't be putting this stuff together on the 31st. I said, we have to have it put together by like the 27th because you have to take a picture of it. And then that picture is in our email. Like, look at this cute garden basket. The only times like we can get away with not having, like, obviously the roses, we can't put together that quick. Like the email still goes out on February 1st, but pickups are the 13th and 14th. But we'll just have a picture of a generic bouquet of a dozen roses. Or like the family photo shoot, we'll use an old photo, like, you know, from the year before, whatever that, yeah, but mostly if it's like the, um, what do you call it? The back to school sanity kit or something like that, we need it put together ahead of time. And that's why I said you'll need an admin at some point if you don't already have one. Because the
Let me ask,
within, okay.
let me ask you a question. I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to interrupt you. For somebody who's kind of remote, right? So I live in Florida now. I have my team in Houston and then my team in Puerto Rico.
Mhm.
So how would you create that? Like, give me some advice on how I would do it, being I'm not the one in physically in any of those either of those locations now.
I know I get this question a lot because I do a lot with the military and a lot of agents do, like a lot of people PCS in and out. And they're like, what do I do? I don't really know because I'm so like my where I normally sell real estate is so focused. It's one zip code. Um,
Hyperlocal.
so it's really easy for me to invite people to an event because it's close for them, because it's close for me. And same with picking up at my office, where like they're all right here for the most part. Um, the where I've seen people have success with being more remote is doing more things that are like that you can ship. Um, or even like, oh, during COVID, we did a Zoom event of, it was funny and kind of weird, but we did a pairing Girl Scout cookies with wine. Have you ever seen those memes? Like, you know, Samoas should go with this wine or whatever. And we made a kit and dropped them off on people's doorsteps. You could obviously not ship the wine, but you could ship something and do like an online event, I guess. Yeah, I don't really know. That's where I'm not real helpful, and I'm sorry.
Eli,
Ma'am.
your people that you have like in Houston,
Mhm.
one of the things we did this past week is we have it's a like downtown Grapevine, and it's an open court, but it's people meet there for various reasons. And why couldn't you do something like that where you have your agents meet up and say from 1 to 3, come pick your stuff up, pick it up that way or do it that way. And your agents are, because they're the ones that's working with the people.
Yeah, and we could. I think our issue is that Houston is so big, and we have built our business. We are the opposite of hyper local. We are Houston, so we have clients that are an hour and a half from each other. When we do an event, picking a location, it's always like we try to be strategic when we were doing events, but it came to a point where it's like you would spend money or time in that event in that location, but people aren't going to drive an hour and a half for most
Right.
things. They're not going to drive an hour, so. I think my case is different because I think you should build your business hyper local. I think it's the better way to do it. I've done it the opposite because I didn't have a sphere of influence. I didn't know anybody when I moved to Houston. So I just built a Facebook group, and it grew out of that Facebook group. But it also, I guess there's 4 ways to skin a cat or 100 ways to skin a cat, right? Not doing a hyperlocal has also allowed us to move if we need to. Like our agents, if they buy a house and they want to move an hour and a half away from their neighborhood, then they're not losing business because, hey, I don't have to be here, right? I can go to a different neighborhood. I can go change schools. I moved to Florida and my business is still thriving in a sense. It's not what it used to be, but I think the market's also changed. So that we have to, grade ourselves using the curve, as Liz was saying. But yeah, I do think that would work in a sense, but Houston is so big and we've done so opposite of hyperlocal that I'm trying to figure out how to make it work. And there's delivery services for all kinds of stuff. We could all just do send a delivery, which it's not the best because I think seeing the person is the best way to do it. But we can also just do delivery stuff.
One of the things I do, I've got a large area, the Metroplex, the DFW area, so I have them all over. So what I'll do on some of them is I will do a zone this month, and then I do a zone next month, because otherwise you're driving, like from one to the other, it could be 4-hour drive. So I just take a certain zone of the map, and that's what I do this month.
Yeah. Antonio had a question.
Hi, thank you, Liz. I do have a question for you. I actually have a couple questions, but the one question I did have is, do you have so it sounds like you schedule all your gifts for every month, every year. Do you do that? Do you change that all the time? Or do you use some of the ones that that really are big hits, like the flowers, for example,
Yeah.
every year?
There are some that are hits every year. So flowers, roses in February. In May, we try to do something Mother's Day. So a couple times we've done like other flowers like tulips or something, or we've done gift certificates to a local nail salon for like pedicures. And then on that note, I will work a deal with the owner because I'll say, look, I want this many gift certificates. So shave some money off the price, because here's the thing. Most of these people aren't just going to come in alone. They're going to bring their mom or their sisters. They're going to come with a friend. So you'll get another piece of business, and I upsell them on, or, I work a deal. And the October family photo shoot's a staple, but there's a few. Oh, we have to we have to pivot on June. So June was always for Father's Day. We did these golf gift certificates, and I worked an amazing deal with the golf course, but my guy left, and the new guy's like, nope. And hey, what? Like, it was at the point where the other guy would reach out to me saying, hey, are you guys getting gift certificates again? I'm ready to print them up. How many do you want? But now this new person isn't trying to hear it. I don't know why, but we're not doing that now. So I got to figure something else out that's Father's Day-ish maybe, or just June-ish. I don't know. School's out. I don't know. But we have to change that. So we try to mix it up. There's a few things I know that are popular, like going back to knowing your clientele and their demographics. Mine love to drink. So whenever we're at a loss, alcohol's the answer. But let's say you're in Utah or you have a very non-drinking clientele, that probably wouldn't fly. So yeah, we mix it up though. Try to keep it fresh.
Okay, I have one more question. How many events do you actually do? I know you mentioned a couple events, but do you count these as events, or do you have specific events for your sphere that you actually, like you talked about, inviting everybody to actually spend more time with them?
Yes, so we have one huge event that everybody's invited to. There's no limit because, well, I guess there's 150 people because we get a party deck at the baseball game, not the Mariners, not the pro team, but the farm team, the Rainiers. And it's all you can eat, all you can drink. And we let people bring the kids, even though we pay the same amount for the kids that aren't drinking or eating other than just a hot dog bun. But everybody loves it. And that's our one big one. And that's always in August. Then we try to do 2 or 3 smaller ones. So like the photo shoot would be a smaller one. And that's not everybody in the same room at the same time, but we'll be like between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. And I'll be like, okay, Eli, which hour do you want? 11 to 12, 12 to 1, 1 to 2. So we will have like 4 or 5 families within each hour because nobody's on time. They're either early or they're late. So that way we have time to sit and have coffee and visit and, and we bring like a little caddy of like a mirror and some wipes and, things that they can fix themselves up with, disposable combs, like it's still in their package. But yeah, so one big event and 2 or 3 smaller ones, like the wine tasting one next month will be a smaller one.
And in the photo shoot, is it limited to how many families?
Yeah, because one
Because
because
of
of
time.
time and one because of cost. So I work a deal with the photographer too. I like normally the sitting fee is this. And I'm like, I want a deal because you don't even know these people. They're going to love your photos. They're going to order more photos from you, and they might even book you for their upcoming newborn shoot or, something else. So that we basically, it ends up being 4 or 5 families per hour, and we do it for about 3 or 4 hours.
15 to 20 people.
And so we pay for their then we explain, we pay for their sitting fee and they get one print on us. We always surprise them at the end of the year with I thought I had one sitting there with a canvas of what the photographer said they really liked and ordered. So that's a little pop by thing we do around Christmas time.
Okay, thank you so much.
That's awesome. You're making it basically evergreen. You have an extension of you already had the event, and then at the end of the year, you get another gift. That's
Mhm.
really love
Yep.
that. Awesome. Questions, comments for Liz? You guys have a celebrity in the room.
No.
Michelle.
You have a little lady in the room.
Michelle, you got a question or you're just clapping? You're muted, my friend. Michelle, you're muted. We can't hear you.
Sorry. So I appreciate everything. It's actually solid information. Some of it I actually practice a little bit here and there, and I think I just kind of need to, you know, revamp it up and, get pedal to the metal and start practicing those things again. I guess we get a little comfortable with just life takes its course, right? But I have a quick question, or rather what you think of this that just kind of came to mind, being that I don't have a physical office, right?
Mhm.
And I'm just kind of like remote, mobile, moving around, doing things, expanding in other territories. I like the idea of events. I'm like really big in my community for events. I was thinking in that utilizing that email format, what about getting everyone to actually go to a place, a vendor, a partnership vendor, where you could actually spend time there and have your clients go there? Do you think that that's a good idea? Like, for instance, with the flowers, a boutique or something to that effect, a florist, speaking to them obviously and coming into agreement and having your clients go there to pick up their flowers. Do you recommend that that be a good idea?
Absolutely. Yeah, like before we were doing the pie giveaway, I was trying to not do that because I was like, every agent does the pie giveaway. And I like to think I'm unique, but I'm not. And I was doing like these really specialty cupcakes and or little pies. The like one was pumpkin Nutella, like a 6-pack. And it was at a place called Pie Goddess. And one time we were like, should we just have everybody go to Pie Goddess and pick up? Like we could be there. They had coffee, but we decided not to. But you could easily do that. And it's kind of like our family photo shoot. That's not at our office. That's at a spot by my house where there's a covered area in case, because we're in the Pacific Northwest, it rains. And then there's a whole espresso coffee place with sandwiches and all that. So we just meet there.
Okay, so it would kind of have the same impact or effect, I guess, like if I did choose a florist to do the flowers and they went there, because I mean, it's also building relationships with other small businesses and vendors, and they kind of we would hope that they would reciprocate, even if, we park our business cards all over the
Well,
place,
we
right?
can't hope, we have to ask. We have
Right.
to set the intention. So it's kind of like my intro letter to the program is like, because you've shown that I am your realtor of choice. Like I don't say, Oh, and this is important too. Don't put in your outgoing message, like, make it sound like it's like you can get these roses if you bring me a referral. Like, don't make it like that's yucky. Don't do that. But like when people were picking up yesterday, I just said, hey, like, cause they always say, how's the market? How are things? I'm like, it's picking up, but last year was rough. So if there was ever a time we could use your referrals, now is it. Like, it would mean the world to me. And they're like, okay, I'll get working on it. I'm like, thank you so much.
So it's almost kind of putting like a soft demand on what our expectations are of them.
Mhm.
And okay, got it.
Yeah. Yep. It's kind of like when someone invites you to their parties all the time and then you have a party, you're like, crap, I gotta invite Evelyn. She's always inviting me.
Mm.
And I think also, Michelle, don't overthink it. Number one, you're with EXP, you're in our network. Don't forget you have access to Regis office. So any Regis anywhere around, you have
Correct.
access to it. So you can use those meeting centers, or you can either use it because it's already included, or you can rent an actual office space for for a day or for a few hours. But even parks, like, one event that I really like is food trucks in your neighborhood, right? Everybody has
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's a really cool event. I mean, you bring a food truck or two. If you're in Texas, obviously it has to be a taco truck. There's no other option. An ice cream truck in the summer, like right off as school ends, bring an ice cream truck, a snow cone truck. Parks, there's always a park somewhere that you can get with the city to rent out the space or use it. I've seen agents do events like a dog day. Like there's agents in California. People are apparently really big on their dogs are like their fur babies or whatnot. So you have a fur baby day, and everybody brings their dogs, and you can have a vet check it for free, and you have games and you have treats, and it's just like a dog day with the family. Definitely not something I would ever host, but for those dog people out there, I think
I just wrote that down.
yeah. So I mean, and there's different things you could do, right? And I kind of stay away with things that are specific to families, because you never know when somebody's going to have fair housing and, oh, you're doing things for families that have kids but not for us. But pictures with Santa, right? If you want to come, you come. You have family, you're single or not.
I got to tell you, Eli, we just did a Grinch party, like photos with the Grinch instead of, because again, I try to like think I'm unique and I didn't want to do photos with Santa. So we did the Grinch. And I thought it was just going to be people with kids because there was cookie decorating and hot chocolate. Meh. Um, a bunch of couples came without kids. And I'm like, oh, maybe we should have had some wine or like a signature cocktail and some finger foods for them. So we had to take notes because we always say, like, what did we do great? What did we suck at? And what are we changing? And we are adding more adult festivities to our Grinch party for this coming December. I had no idea that people without children would show up to a Grinch party.
That's awesome. I would go. I love the Grinch. But
Right.
there's just so many events too. Also, get with your communities, get with the Chamber of Commerce, figure out what's opening up in your town, what new businesses, support those local businesses. If I'm opening a cupcake shop and you come to me and tell me, hey, I have 175 past clients, I'm going to invite them. I would expect 10% of them to show up. Is it okay if I bring you 17 people and we have a cupcake day and I pay for the first cupcake? Who's going to say no to that? Or a bar or a pub or a restaurant or a park or anything like that. So Antonio, you have a question?
I'm just gonna make a comment that I do an event in one of my parks in my neighborhood. It's a national night event, national night out event. And what I do is I bring first of all, the city lets me borrow it for free. I usually get a DJ that does the stuff for free as well. And I bring community resources, but I talk to a couple vendors. You mentioned well, we call it Snow Shack over here, but it's basically a small business. He brings his cart or whatever. So he sells this stuff, but I just bring it for the community. We should get about 150 to 200 people. It's hot, it's in August, but it's people seem to really enjoy it, and it gives me an opportunity to go talk to the neighbors. So that one works as well if you're in a place where it's not raining in August. Well, it shouldn't be anywhere, but you know what I mean. Might be really hot.
And guys, don't forget, leverage your vendors, leverage your partners. Get your title companies involved, get your lawyers involved, get your inspection. Like we have our inspection company that we use the most in Houston. They have a beautiful office and a huge conference room. We have that at our disposal to use as well. Like leverage your vendors, leverage your partners, your neighbors, your friends, your doctor, your dentist. I don't know, anybody. Ask around, see who's got places that you can go into or who wants to sponsor things. Like, you think your dentist doesn't want to be sponsoring an event where you have 150 people in the community? Like, your dentist wants to sponsor that, I would think, right? People who own restaurants, ice cream shops, small businesses are the big ones for sponsoring events like this. You don't have to spend a single dollar.
Eli, I was going to mention something, and sorry I'm not on camera today, but another thing that I love to do is collaborate with local businesses when they're already doing like some sort of a major promotion, to where, like, for example, one of the places that my husband and I like to hang out is a local pub where we've gotten to know everyone. It's like our Cheers. But there's every year they do one day where crawfish is real big here in Texas, you know, but they do a free crawfish day with a local distributor here that has their own seasoning line. And so I do an event coordinated with that, to where the crawfish is automatically free anyway, and then I bring lenders in or my partners, and they help with the drink tickets and the giveaways, and it just, I mean, it's turned out to be a really fabulous event.
Yeah, that's good. And I know you do a bunch of events with a small business, so you do a great job with that. All right, so it is we are past our time. Liz, thank you so much. I appreciate you. I'm not cutting you off. I would spend all day with you. You know how much I love you. But any last comments, any last really quick actionable items that we should be doing today? What are 3 things we can implement today?
Pick up the phone. They want to hear from you. Here's the thing that I heard recently is we overthink it, obviously. And we don't remember our clients as much as they remember us, because this is what we do every single day. But they only bought a house every so often. So they remember us. They want to hear from us. They think it's really cool when you reach out and you say, hi, how's it going? I was thinking of you. I was just, sometimes you can just lie. I was like, oh, I was just in your neighborhood a little bit ago showing a house, or I was just in your neighborhood seeing a friend and I drove by your house and I thought of you. And actually that happened to me recently. She goes, oh my God, we moved. And I was like, what? She goes, I know, we didn't want to tell you, but they moved away. And the person that bought their house was that they door knocked and were like, is there any chance you would sell? And they're like, yeah. And they did it for like a stupid low flat fee. So, but anyway, I make that call a lot, pretending that I was thinking of them. But Brivity told me to think of them.
Okay, actionable item 1. I love it. Awesome. All right, good stuff. Thank you so much.
All right.
Liz, how do we contact you? Follow you on Facebook? How do we buy show me the book again so we can order the book?
It's on Amazon. It's $10. Perk Your Sphere, rewarding those that reward you. Oh, is that backwards? Probably.
No, it's good.
Yeah, and I always say read it twice, because I didn't it's not very long, and what I learned about writing a book is after I wrote that and now I read books, I see they repeat themselves 4 or 5 times on the same thing, and I didn't do that. So you have to read it twice, because I didn't repeat myself.
And you only have to buy it once, but you can read it twice, by the way.
Yes.
So good stuff. Thank you, Liz. I appreciate you.
All right, thank you guys. Have a good day.
Thank you, Liz.
Bye.
Bye.